Number 18, this time we have a logical completion question and some pretty complicated terminology in the text and the choices. So let's just try to figure out what's the basic idea or relationship between these terms. We're not necessarily going to understand the science on some deep level here, but it's about understanding the relationships and ultimately the claim that's being made. So to address the susceptibility of materials used in components of high-performance machinery, such as aircraft engines, to creep, which they define as deformation that is induced by persistent mechanical stress and that often occurs at elevated temperatures, materials researchers have developed silicon carbide fibers for producing aerospace composites. Testing the thermomechanical properties of several commercially available SiC fibers, they found that in comparison with two polymer-derived SiC fibers, a nitrogen-treated SiC fiber exhibited a lower minimum creep rate, a measure of the rate at which a stress-exposed material deforms at a constant temperature and uniaxial load. The findings suggest that. So there's a lot going on here, but when I read this, all I see is a comparison being made between one kind of SiC fiber and another. We've got these two polymer-derived fibers, and then we have this nitrogen fiber, and we find that the nitrogen SiC fiber exhibited a lower minimum creep rate, which suggests to me, given how they're defining the creep rate, that it just does better with creep. Like the text started with, look, we've got this problem with creep, and we have these fibers that can help. And now we're testing these fibers to see how they do, and it just seems like the nitrogen is better than the other two at creep. Again, I don't have to go much deeper than that. Let's just use that as the basis of our analysis, and then we'll see what the choices give us. Let's look at A. Unlike the two polymer-derived SiC fibers, the nitrogen-treated SiC fiber can substantially inhibit creep, provided that temperatures and loads are consistent. We have to be careful here. They said that the nitrogen provides or exhibits a lower minimum creep rate. This does not mean that the other two fibers don't work, right? That they don't substantially inhibit creep. It just is, I think, the nitrogen's better. But just because the nitrogen's better doesn't mean the others aren't good on some level. So I think A goes too far with the comparison. Yes, we want the nitrogen to be better, but it doesn't mean the others are bad. The two polymer-derived SiC fibers likely hold similar potential for reducing the creep resistance of materials exposed to stress and elevated temperature, thus prolonging the lifespan of aerospace machinery. Well, the whole point was that the nitrogen is lower, so why are we saying that the other two are similar? Like hold similar potential? Like the whole point was that the other ones, the nitrogen's better. So I don't know why suddenly we'd be saying, oh, but actually the polymer ones are really good too. Like they're just as good. Seems to go against the claim here. C, composites based on the two polymer-derived SiC fibers have chemical properties that may improve the mechanical and thermal stability of aerospace equipment to a greater extent than do composites based. I mean, this just contradicts what the text says. The text says that the nitrogen is better, not that the two polymer ones are better. So it's kind of like B. Like this is just going against what the text is talking about, where it's already made this claim that the nitrogen is better. Aerospace composites containing the nitrogen-treated SiC fiber may have the ability to withstand mechanical stress for a longer period of time than can aerospace composites containing either of the two polymer-derived SiC fibers. Yeah, finally, we're saying that this is better, right? If it's got this lower minimum creep rate, which is a measure of the rate at which the material deforms under pressure or under temperature and load, then it will be able to withstand stress longer than these other fibers, which don't have that creep rate. I mean, that seems reasonable. And really, at the end of the day, again, ignoring kind of all the complexity of the language here, only D says that nitrogen is better than the other two. Right? A says that the other two are just bad, they don't work, which is not quite right. It's too far. B says they're very similar, which is not right. And then C says the polymers are better than the nitrogen, which, again, contradicts the text. So the only one that's even in the right universe is D. So does my lack of understanding of anything going on here from an engineering perspective affect my ability to answer this question? No, because it's about the relationship between the ideas here, not necessarily the ideas themselves. So 18 is D.